#1 on the Gulf Coast. You're watching WALA Channel 10. This is Action News 10 at 10 p.m. with Bob Grip, Nancy Pierce, Rob Roblin, Eric McLendon, and the award-winning Action News 10 team.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Nancy Pierce.
And I'm Bob Grip. In just 2 hours, Alabama is set to execute another death row inmate. He's Arthur James Julius of Birmingham, convicted of murder 9 years ago. Rod Odom is with the Live Eye right now outside Holman Prison near Atmore, the site of tonight's planned execution.
Rod, is there any chance of a delay in the execution?
Right now, it looks like that chance is moot. There has been no word from the governor. Of course, the Supreme Court says no way. Everything is going to go as planned. I'm standing just outside the entrance of Holman Prison here in Atmore. As usual, this is as close to the prison as we're allowed to get before an execution. Arthur James Julius is now only 2 hours away from the end of his life. He's already eaten his last meal: beef steak, French fried okra, pineapple chunks with mayonnaise dressing, and a lemon soda. Julius spent most of this last day with relatives, a brother, a sister-in-law, and his son. I'm told those relatives are still here. He's also spent some time today with 2 nuns who are longtime acquaintances, that I'm told. Julius has served time in prison, 11 years on a rape and murder conviction. Now he's about to pay for those crimes. Arthur James Julius's time right now is limited. Arthur James Julius has spent a lot of time in court. Now he's hoping the U.S. Supreme Court will stay his scheduled execution. But the justices have refused to hear his appeals twice before. Julius is set to die at 1 minute after midnight in Alabama's electric chair. The Birmingham native was convicted of the 1978 rape and murder of his cousin, Susie Bay Sanders of Montgomery. Julius killed his cousin while he was free on an 8-hour pass from a prison work release center. Now, before Julius committed the crime for which he's about to die, he was serving a life sentence for a 1972 murder. I'm told he beat a man to death with a pipe. About 11 o'clock tonight, Julius will be taken to the death chamber to face Yalamama. That's Alabama's electric chair. At that time, he will have his head shaven and a leg will also be shaven. That's where the electrodes will be placed. Unless Governor Guy Hunt steps in to stay this execution, which of course is dubious at this point, Arthur James Julius will become the 4th person executed this year and the 7th since the death penalty was reinstated. Again, some members of the media will be going inside to actually watch this man die. And again, Bob and Nancy, I'm lucky. I'll get the chance to let them tell me about it.
All right, thanks, Rod.
Rod Odom with the Live Eye outside Holman Prison near Atmore. Plenty of emergency crews are on the move at the Mobile Municipal Airport today to test their skills. You're looking at a drill, a simulation of a plane crash that injured 70 people. The Federal Aviation Administration requires this kind of test once every 3 years to make sure emergency teams are ready for the event they hope never happens. The worst nightmares of hundreds of people came to life across the East Coast today as they suffered through the storm that hit the South last night. In Newburgh, New York, 60 miles north of New York City, 7 children died here, 18 others were injured when a glass and concrete wall collapsed in a school cafeteria while elementary school children were eating lunch. All those who died were from 6 to 9 years old. In Philadelphia, strong wind tore part of the roof off a church, spraying shingles and wooden beams onto the cars below. In another part of the city, the force of the storm bent a tall construction crane in half and also smashed windows in office buildings.
Homeowners southeast of Fairhope spent the day cleaning up after the damage caused by yesterday's strong storms. This is what was left of George and Clara Langford's house near Clay City and Marlow Roads. While the storm did a lot of damage, the Langfords weren't hurt. They hugged the floor of an inside hallway until the killer wind moved on. Now, for some Mobile County parents, last night was a terrible one for a different reason. Their children were in Huntsville on a field trip at the time of the tornado. Luckily, though, it turned out there was nothing to worry about. The 75 children from Sims Elementary School were just fine. They weren't even near the damage. Today, those students who didn't make the trip were in class, learning all about tornadoes and how to protect themselves from them. They also took part in a tornado drill.
When Action News 10 at 10 p.m. continues, we'll have more on the damage caused by yesterday's storms.
Lance Williams is standing by with a Live Eye report from Huntsville where a tornado killed 17 people. That's when Action News 10 at 10 p.m. continues. National Guard troops are on duty tonight in Huntsville, guarding what's left of the buildings leveled by last night's tornadoes. At last count, 17 people are dead, more than 460 injured.
Lance Williams, who has been in Huntsville since dawn this morning, has an update for us now.
He joins us live by satellite. Lance?
Bob, Nancy, again, I am here at the site of the worst devastation from yesterday's tornadoes. This is the Westbury Mall area. There are still hundreds of cars that are smashed that need to be carried away. There is still tons of debris that needs to be removed. However, things have been shut down for tonight. All search operations have been shut down and this area has been sealed. The operations will begin again tomorrow morning. Now, the operations went on for 24 straight hours. Crews worked to dig out this neighborhood in southeast Huntsville. It couldn't happen here, but it did. 17 people dead, more than 400 injured. It happened within minutes. 25 miles mowed down by a terrifying tornado. The startling thing about a storm like this is that it can toss cars like Tinker Toys on the one hand, then on the other hand leave nearby Christmas ornaments untouched. Lynn Lucky learned the hard way how fickle tornadoes can be.
Actually, my apartment's not hurt, but the apartment above me, the roof's gone.
Things were tougher for David Seaver. His family's apartment is nothing more than a memory.
You can replace this stuff over the years, but, you know, we're just thankful we're around to build more memories.
But the memories are going to be tough to replace. The memories and the buildings that hold them. Now is the time for Huntsville to have faith in abundance. And raw figures help to put this tragedy into perspective. Again, 17 people are dead, 3 churches, 2 schools, and hundreds of homes and apartments are destroyed, and 4,000 people are still without power. It's no doubt that Huntsville will remember this tornado the same way that Mobile remembered Frederick. Bob, Nancy.
All right, thank you, Lance.
Lance Williams reporting live by satellite from Huntsville tonight. President Bush on his way to Houston did some sidestepping today. When asked about a report in the Los Angeles Times that said the CIA has launched a covert operation to overthrow Panamanian leader Manuel Noriega, the president said he couldn't confirm or deny the report and that he wouldn't comment at all on intelligence matters. The White House tonight says it will be watching El Salvador's investigation of the murder today of 6 Jesuit priests and 2 servants this morning. Witnesses say at least 30 uniformed gunmen, some say government soldiers, seized the 8 people at the Central American University in San Salvador. Church officials say the priests were savagely tortured before they were shot to death and that their brains had been cut out. Meanwhile, the violence continues in the capital city. Jets attacked rebel strongholds and block-to-block fighting is being reported.
Changes in South Africa. Today, President F.W. de Klerk made a major announcement concerning desegregation in his country. This scene will soon be one of the past, segregated beaches. De Klerk today announced that all beaches will be open to everyone, regardless of color. The 1953 Act, which has separated the races, cannot be repealed formally until Parliament reconvenes February 2nd. And changes in the Soviet Union are catching the attention of those on Capitol Hill and in the White House. Commerce Secretary Robert Mosbacher today said an historic easing of travel restrictions in the Soviet Union would clear the way for the removal of U.S. tariff barriers. Mosbacher did not spell out the conditions at a joint news conference with the Soviet Minister of Foreign Affairs, but they signed commercial agreements designed to boost U.S. investments in the Soviet Union and to explore a new trade agreement.
The bottom line on a pay and ethics bill passed by the House today means a pay boost of more than $30,000 over the next 13 months for House members. The 100-page complex bill passed with the backing of both parties and President Bush. Under the bill, House members would have to give up fees for speeches to special interest groups, the honorarium. It would also prevent Congress from giving itself future salary increases until after the next election. Alabama House member Sonny Callahan and Florida Congressman Earl Hutto voted against that measure.
And coming up next, Rob Roblin's ice-cold forecast for the end of the work week.
And we'll tell you where you can do almost all of your Christmas shopping when Action News 10 at 10 p.m. continues.
Need some help with your Christmas shopping? Well, you can find just what you want at the Christmas Jubilee. For the next couple of days, the Mobile Civic Center is dressed up for Christmas. It's all part of the shopping extravaganza sponsored by the Junior League of Mobile. Merchandise from over 60 specialty shops from across the South can be found under just one roof. Just what you need to make all those Christmas dreams come true. And besides, it's inside, so you won't get cold.
It's starting to feel like Christmas already, so it's perfect season.
Oh, it is cold. You know, I don't want to belabor a point, but watching Lance and listening to Lance and seeing all the video from all over the United States, it just tears you up to see what has happened with all this. And we have to be so fortunate along the Gulf Coast. I know we had some damage, but boy, I went to Sims, and we had some calls, and I know both of you answered some last night with family in Huntsville, and it's very frustrating when you can't tell them where exactly it is, and so far it's so glad there's a lot of happy parents.
Right. You could tell Lance looked pretty cold up there.
Oh, he's cold. They're going to have a record breaker in Huntsville, and we're going to have one here. So it's cold out there right now, but wait until in the morning. Oh, folks, extremely cold. You know, if you like Wisconsin, you'd like this kind of weather, but we don't live in Wisconsin. We live on the Gulf Coast. Predicted low for in the morning in Mobile, 29 degrees, a freeze warning in effect for all of us. Coastal sections of Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida, Jackson 25, 30, and Gulf Shores. In other words, extremely cold night to night, and in the morning it's going to be very cold with record breakers all along the Gulf Coast. Now tomorrow, sunshine mixed with a few clouds here and there, but it's still going to be very cold. It's going to take a few days to warm up. Our high temperature will be in the 50s, and tomorrow evening we're going to be around 35. That's not freezing, but at least beginning to warm up tomorrow. Here's tomorrow's map, and the high pressure system continues to control our weather. This is the one that came straight from Canada and the North Pole, basically. This is a dome of very, very cold air. Look, some showers. You can see them back to the west, back in Texas tomorrow. Now, let's look at Saturday's map. The possibility of a shower late on Saturday, then on Sunday, look for some scattered showers at least is going to warm up. Right now, it is cold, but not near as cold as what it's going to be. 40 degrees under clear skies in Mobile, 44 under clear skies in Pensacola. The humidity low. The winds are out of the north at 13 in Mobile, out of the northwest 14 in Pensacola, gusting up to 22, and the pressure is rising. Our high this afternoon got up to 57, the low this morning, and our current temperature, actually this is our current temperature, which is our low so far today, which is 40 degrees. Our record low 31 for in the morning, set in 1951, predicting a record-breaking low temperature in the morning. Picture from space, here's what's going on. You can see finally this cold front that caused so many problems all along the East Coast and the Tennessee Valley, the Gulf Coast. It's finally gone. It's out over the Atlantic. Now, lots of clouds from the backlash of this low pressure system in the Great Lakes. And as we look at the national radar, quite a bit of snow. The lake effect, strong northerly winds going across the Great Lakes, basically picking up the moisture from the lakes. Lots of snow, up to 14 inches up there. The boating forecast, a small craft advisory is in effect. It is going to be extremely rough out in the Gulf and cold tomorrow. If I were you, I would stay home and go to sleep. The sea's 5 to 8 feet. The tides, there they are on the screen. The sun will rise in the morning at 6:21, set at 4:55. They're the river stages. Freeze warning in effect for tonight, low of 29. Then tomorrow, beginning to warm up, mostly sunny skies, high of 57. Still cold, but not as cold as in the morning, low of 35. Bundle up.
Bundle up everything.
Yeah.
Cross Point, Mississippi tonight, the first shipment of Baltimore sludge is on its way back to Maryland. Jacqueline McLean has the latest on the stink stirred up by a train filled of treated sewage.
It's the train nobody wants. Late into the night, they hitched up 61 carloads of sludge. The treated sewage comes from Baltimore, and that's where it's going back. It's been sitting in Moss Point for 13 days. Mississippi doesn't want it either, even though railroad officials say it is harmless.
This process is no different than recycling aluminum cans or scrap paper. It's recycling of a waste product, a safe, non-toxic waste product.
Before coming to Moss Point, the sludge train was in Louisiana. State officials there don't want it either. Before this shipment of Baltimore sludge had left Louisiana, one had already been dumped off, and officials didn't want a repeat of what happened the first time.
The first train that went to Louisiana, which was disposed of in lamb farming, had a problem. It did stink. It had become septic en route. Changes were made in how this train was handled, and this was not the case with this train.
Once back in Baltimore, the 5,000 tons of sludge will be reprocessed and sold to nurseries as fertilizer. In Moss Point, Jacqueline McLean, Action News 10.
And a hearing on the case is set for November 21st. When Action News 10 continues, Eric McLendon has the story of a former Blunt basketball star.
A star who's now been suspended from play in the National Basketball League.
Basketball players are used to getting rebounds, but this one may be a little too hard.
And a little too late.
That's right. A great basketball player, of course, but right now his life and getting it back on track is the main thing, and we'll have to keep our fingers crossed for Roy. After 2 drunk suspensions and now a drunk driving arrest, former Blunt star Roy Tarpley's NBA career appears to be over. John Mastrini has local reaction to today's bad news.
Roy Tarpley was back at the Dallas Mavericks practice this morning, one day after being arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol and resisting arrest. Soon after this practice, Tarpley found out he had been banned for life from the NBA. The DUI charge constitutes a third violation of NBA substance abuse policy, and that means an automatic ban from the league.
Woke up this morning or heard it for the first time on the radio, whatever it was. What went through your mind?
Well, I just hope that it wasn't the third strike, of course, and I just hope that that Roy would be with us this morning. That's the basic thing right now. We don't know that much, and hopefully we'll be here.
Tarpley had been a mainstay of the Dallas Mavericks for the past 4 years. He has earned the reputation as the league's best player off the bench. But the 2 previous suspensions left a hole in the Dallas attack. And now the super sixth man, once from Mobile, is gone for good. Roy played his high school ball here at Blount in the mid-'70s, and while his former coach is shocked at the news, the players seem indifferent. He stayed in touch with him in the offseason. Did it seem like he was putting it all back together again?
Yes, it did. He came by just this past September, and we talked quite a while, and he told me, he assured me, that he was ready. He's ready to go back and contribute to his team.
Because everybody here playing basketball want to get where Roy Tarpley was, and his image has not been destroyed with me.
Tarpley becomes the 4th player to be banned by the NBA for substance abuse. He can appeal in 2 years. John Mastrini, Action News 10 Sports.
At the time of his suspension, Tarpley was leading the NBA in rebounds. Tarpley's family here in Mobile declined comment tonight. The news is much better for former South Alabama guard Jeff Hodge. Hodge was cut by the Mavericks earlier this season, but has caught on with the Wichita Falls Texans of the CBA. And tonight, the Jags' all-time leading scorer made his pro debut. Hodge is expecting to see a lot of action coming off the bench for the Texans as their third guard. Now, since Wichita Falls isn't exactly the media capital of the world, we've had a little trouble tonight finding out Jeff's point totals, but we'll be sure and have them for you tomorrow night. One basketball score to report on now. Faulkner State Junior College beats Pensacola Christian 109-98 tonight. Tomorrow is the biggie of the biggies in high school football. Mobile's 2 powers, Viger and Murphy, do battle for the right to move on to the semifinals in the state playoffs. Viger hasn't lost a playoff game in almost 3 years, but the Panthers won the last battle in the regular season. Action News 10 will be live from Ladd Stadium tomorrow at 6 and 10 o'clock. We look for about 20,000 fans to show up at Ladd Stadium tomorrow night, so if you got your tickets, be sure and get there early and bundle up. Roblin tells me it's going to be very cold out there tomorrow night.
Should be a great game.
Should be a great game.
Right. 2 pairs of socks and gloves.
That's right.
And a hat.
Coming up next, an icy cold 5-day forecast.
And a celebration in the city of San Francisco. Next on Action News 10 at 10 p.m.
In San Francisco.
Now, before you go to bed tonight, get your coat out, your gloves, your hat, your scarf, your long underwear,
I'm not
whatever.
looking forward to going out to the car. There's just a couple of feet outside the door.
We're going to stay here.
It is cold out there. I'll tell you what, at 8 o'clock in the morning, it'll be a nice morning. Sit inside with a hot cup of coffee, with a fire going in the fireplace and the heat up, and just watch the sunrise. It'll be pretty, but that's about the only place. If you don't have to get out, don't. I'm going to be in the bed warm. 8 o'clock in the morning, freezing temperature, 32 degrees for the next 5 days, gradually warming up. On Saturday, hey, it's going to be warm, a high of 59, then 66 on Sunday, but there's a chance of rain.
It's kind of miss 78 degrees.
I do too.
Finally tonight, with crooner Tony Bennett singing I Left My Heart in San Francisco, thousands of people strolled across the San Francisco Bay Bridge, saluting the workers who got it back in shape just a month after the earthquake tore up the bridge. It's due to open for traffic tomorrow. That's 1 month to the day after the devastating quake. But officials decided a formal reopening was in order and invited people to travel on the footbridge today. One of the residents commented it's just part of the family. That's our news for this Thursday evening.
Join Jackie D'Antonio and Byron Day tomorrow morning for Action News 10 at 6 a.m. and we'll be back tomorrow night at 5. Have a great night.